Good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited to be here today. Welcome to the Catalyst for the Trades, where we jump into conversations that are fully unfiltered, go a lot of different directions with innovators, visionaries, and change makers in their space. And I am very excited. Mr. Mike Abramowitz. Did I get it right?
You nailed it.
Okay. Everyone knows that my co-host that's not here with us today, I cannot pronounce his name for anything. So it's kind of a joke that every time I just make up a new name every week. But Abramowitz. This man, yes, this man is brilliant. I had the pleasure of getting to meet you. How did we meet? We met through the podcast I did with Danielle, right?
Yep. You
Yes.
got it.
Which that was a killer podcast as well. You guys should go check that out. She's got a great program. But Mike and I jumped on a call and I think really, really hit it off. I think one of the things that really stood out to me, that's of course, everyone that knows me, I am all about systems, process, and engineering businesses by design and not by nature or emotion. And this is your life. Like you've done this over and over and over and over again. Why don't you take a minute, introduce everybody, tell us. I know your scroll of what you've accomplished is long. It's the declaration.
Well, I think my biggest accomplishment, I have a 4.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. So I'm a dad of two, James and Ella, and just bringing them into the world in itself was an accomplishment through the whole IVF journey, male factor, and everything that we had to go through to the miscarriages and the stillbirths and everything to bring these two little babies into the world. That's I'm a dad first, and everything I have built was so that way I can be a dad. My dad is 84 years old, and I'm the youngest of 8. Actually, I found out the youngest of 9, if you want so much information. But my oldest brother, a guy named Chuck, did Ancestry.com, found out my dad had an oops when he was 17 years old. So boom, we got a new brother in the family. So youngest of 9, my dad still works 6 days a week in his plumbing business. He grinds, answers every phone call. And I love his ambition and fun and drive, but he missed a lot of basketball games growing up for me. So I knew that when I was going to enter into like being a dad and a family person, like I'm going to be more present. So I feel like I've overcorrected, I think, a little bit too much in some cases, but I spent 20 years in direct sales. I got my engineering degree from the University of South Florida, paid my way through college selling Cutco kitchen knives, spent 20 years with that company. And in some season there, I started writing books and had 9 books and traveling and speaking. Somewhere in there, started a nonprofit that fed over 100,000 people called PB&J for Tampa Bay, and was able to meet my now wife, hired a business coach to teach me how to like kind of build some systems and corporatize my small business. And that helped me like kind of buy back time through that predictability. So that was about 2016. And then now in this season I'm able to help teach other business owners how to build that predictability because on New Year's Eve of 2020, my son was born at 1 pound, 4 ounces. He was 26 weeks. And I didn't know exactly how long we were going to be in the NICU with him, but I called my team. I said, listen, the last few years, we built out the processes. We've McDonaldified the business. We have the SOPs. We have the automations in place. We have the offshore virtual assistant team in place. You guys got it. And it was a group of maybe 12 to 15 onshore and about the same offshore. And we did 7 figures in sales, $250,000 in revenue without me there during this 8.5 months while I was in the NICU. So that's when I called that coach and I said, hey, do you think we could partner up to teach other business owners how to do what you taught me how to do? My wife became a full-time medical mom, and I was like, how do I replace her income? And he's like, let's find out. So now we've helped about 290 to 300 businesses at this point, where we've been able to help build predictability and build processes that not necessarily for them to be like escape for 8.5 months to be in the hospital with their kid, but more so they don't have to take a phone on vacation if they don't want to, or they don't have to like answer the phone at 6 p.m. family dinner every time, or they don't have to be a slave to the business where the business constantly relies on them. So there's some sort of founder lifestyle and business predictability. So I created a framework of like, this is what he did for me. And now we get a chance to use that time-rich 6 framework for other people too. So that's the long, short version.
You're making my eyes all watery. I love that. I know what that feels like. I've I started this business as a single mom. Uh, and that's not, I mean, nothing about it's easy. Nothing about it is easy, but it is a lot easier when it's by design. So tell me about your program. I mean, you've developed a system that gets repeatable and predictable results. Have you noticed, well, one, about the program, but two, have you noticed the implementation strategy? Any anomalies? Like, does the owner have to have a certain mindset? Is it a specific market? Do you see any instances where you're having to adjust or pivot the model because of something, a variable that gives you a different outcome?
It's a good question. I mean, what we have found and what I have found in my years of business is that a lot of owners become owners for a specific reason, and oftentimes that reason is they want freedom.
Time, money,
They
and
leave.
freedom, baby.
So they want this freedom, and they're like, I'm not going to work for the man anymore. So they quit their 9 to 5 to work 24/7. So they think that the business is going to create the freedom, but that's actually not the case. They just take on instead of their former boss being their boss, now their client is their boss or their team is their boss. And this business owner becomes like, they become the businessman. So it's just a high paying job where they're still bottlenecked. So that has been a pretty recurring theme for most business owners, at least when they start out. So we really start with helping them figure out why they wanted to start the business in the first place. And that's why on the Time Rich 6, number one is boundaries. Because what are we protecting? We built the business for a reason. What do we want? Once the money is made, then it's like, what's the money for? It's a means to an end. So it's like, what are the priorities? Who are the relationships that are important? Is the faith important? Is your health important? Is your legacy important? Like, what's most important? And how do we make sure that we build boundaries to protect that? Because the business is not our life. The business is a vehicle for us to pursue our life. It's an opportunity to pursue our life. So as long as we could think about it in those terms, that's where we start. So that's always where I like to start with a business owner. It doesn't matter what industry we've done, all different industries, from like network marketing, direct sales, brick and mortar, real estate investors. But we've really loved working in the trades. So 2025, this year, we planted our flag. We said, we're going to keep all of our legacy clients that we're helping with, but we're only going to work in the trades, landscape lighting, services, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, remodels, custom builds. Like, that's where we want to plant our flag and help these guys, because that's who my dad is. And I want to help my dad essentially 30 years ago, because, if he would have kind of maybe made a couple of shifts that I'm now teaching, maybe I could help some other guys that they don't have to miss as many events, those life events that they could be present at.
Yeah, I agree with that on many levels. I mean, we could go down a lot of routes here. I think it's a brilliant decision. I'm going to put out one. You have a very emotional attachment to this because you're born in the trades, right? There is also a futuristic element to this that is, I think, really, really critical. I don't know how many industries are safe right now. For any company, for a company like yours or mine to be focused on, right? It doesn't matter if it's Wall Street or medical or real estate, or the predominant industries have a new set of competitors coming that is going to change their business drastically. I think the trades is also safe. I think that the trades business is relatively safe from AI, and is an essential service. And I think that the classification of the trades is going to be elevated and elevated and elevated to where it lies in other countries, right? I think trades is going to be seen no different than a doctor in Europe. Trades profession is an absolute necessity, and we've got to focus on this industry. We have to level up from business, architecture, infrastructure, and everything else. I would agree with that. Your discussion regarding really fine tuning what the business owner's objective is, I think that's critical. I literally was laying in bed this morning and I posted this entire article on Facebook about the single responsibility principle versus God class. And as entrepreneurs, we start off, and this is a coding principle. This has nothing to do with entrepreneurism or a business, but it applies exactly. God classes, like when you're building an agentic network, you essentially are giving one agent way too many hats. And so it becomes messy and disorganized and it can't get stuff done and it starts hallucinating and freaking out. Versus the single responsibility protocol is when you tighten the instructions and you build your agentic network with one agent that is required to perform one function and perform that function incredibly well over and over and over and master that function, get smarter, enhance the function, right? Its role. I think as entrepreneurs, we have limited resources. So we wind up building some bad habits in the beginning, wearing all of the hats, doing everything. And that's when you have the anxiety that comes with, oh, I thought I was going to have more time, money, and freedom. What is this entrepreneur garbage I got introduced to? Why didn't anybody warn me?
Yeah. And oftentimes they fall into it because, especially in the trades, it's like I was good at the thing, being the technician. So then, therefore, I just was doing the thing, swinging the hammer, doing the wrench, whatever it is. And then I got even better, even better. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to bring other people along with me and hire these other guys that can kind of help me get the guy at the train tracks or pull someone from the union. And then like, oh, now I have a crew. And it's like, and that crew builds a 7-figure business, and this owner is like paying himself a couple $100,000. He's like, wow, this is cool. But he's still an owner operator. And that's why these white collar systems are really important for the blue collar trades in order to help that technician, that owner operator, just understand that there's another way of doing the same thing. Grinding will get them to a point. And then once they get that point, not that they have to scale and grow to something that is so large to 20, 30, 50 million, but just like to get it to a point where they can at least protect their business. Because if they don't protect the business, then what is the exit plan? They have 3 choices. They're either going to die and they'll exit the business. They're either going to leave a really sloppy, messy business to someone, whether it's a kid or a coworker or someone they leave it to, and they're going to run it into the ground. Or 3, which is they try to sell it and they get absolutely nothing
Pennies.
or much less than what they anticipated, because nobody wants to buy a job. So if they just build a business that is dependent on the owner, that's not a business. That's just an owner dependent job. So no one's going to want to really buy that. Especially if they don't have like CRMs or client, like a client predictability, any roadmaps to client predictability, whether it's maintenance visits for repeat business, or it's predictability on their advertising or their reputation on Google or SEO or now AEO. Like what is that? What are the assets outside of their trucks or their tools or machinery or equipment? And that's a real question that I think some of these guys are just asking when they're like 70 versus really thinking about when they're 50.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that comes with a tremendous amount of risk and liability. That carpet can be pulled overnight without the proper systems in place, which is scary because we've got everything into this. Yeah. So, as you've gone through this journey with different companies, tell me about some success stories that you've had with trades groups or other businesses. Where did they start? What does the timeline look at? Usually, what is the engagement period look at to truly create change? I think change tends to come through one of 2 ways: either a significant emotional event, which is usually an ass whooping, the rug got pulled, that hurt, or consistency and repetition. So what does that look like? Really, when can you make the biggest amount of difference?
Sure. So in our organization, we call it the lead domino, and we took that from Gary Keller's The One Thing. So we just wanted to figure out, what is the lead domino? What is the one thing that if we start there can 3x revenue and buy back 10 hours of time for the owner? So how do we find that lead domino? We start with the time rich 6. I only hit on the 1, so I'm going to go through the other 5 real quick, and then I'll give a couple of use cases, and then we can go in whatever direction feels good. Does that sound okay, Jen?
Yeah, I want to hear them.
Okay. So time rich 6, boundaries is number 1. Once we figure out what our priorities are, then number 2 is communication guidelines. How do we want people to get the owner's attention? And the people being prospects, clients, and your team. So like, what deems an email versus a text versus a live call versus an in-person meeting versus a virtual meeting? Just getting like a little bit more clear of how do people get your attention? Does the $100,000 job get the same amount of attention as the $1,000 job? And is there any like discrepancy or guidelines or frameworks around that. So that's number 2, which is communication guidelines. Those are founder lifestyle principles. The next 4 of the Time Rich 6 are business predictability principles, which are systems, playbooks, team, tech. And it goes in that order. Too many people say, what's the tech solution? What's the AI solution? What technology is going to solve my problems? We say that's the last one. We first want to build a system. And the way we define a system is just a flow chart, a series of if-thens. So what if this happens, then this happens. So if a client buys, then I want them to give us referrals. I want them to give us a review, and I want them to buy more from me in the future. So if that's the if then as an example, what's the playbook? So that's the system. Then the playbook is the documentation, the SOP, the writing of that if then.
The architecture.
Then, correct. So then once we have the flow chart, then we have the playbook. Who is the team that's going to run those plays? So who's the administrative team? Who's the marketing team? Who's the sales team? Who's the fulfillment team? Who's the who? And you have 2 different team members. You have doers and you have experts. Experts cost a lot more money than doers. So if you have a team of doers, we need to be really dialed in with McDonaldifying, simplifying those playbooks and those systems. If you have a team of experts, then you could hire them to make sure that they're equipped to help you build those systems and those playbooks. And then it's the technology. What is the technology that's going to support the team? Is that a CRM? Is that a project management software? Is it a internal communication platform like a Slack? Is it AI or ChatGPT or whatever resources we're going to be using to help support the team execute those plays? So that's the 6 principles that help me be able to buy back time from my business, and the business can run without me. And that's what essentially we've done for businesses. So what we do is we figure out, where do we start? What is the lead domino? Is it in the client journey? Is it in the talent journey? Is it in documentation of the playbooks? That's what we have to figure out. So for Molly and Jeff Vogt, they run Elegant Accents in Tampa. We sat down with them and we figured out what is their lead domino, and it was the client maximization. They're in a landscape lighting company. They're doing somewhere between, when I met them, 750,000 to 1.2 million, like somewhere in that range. We figured out how many homes are they getting back into after the point of sale. That was the question on the table. And they said, we got into maybe 15 last year. And I said, well, how many lifetime clients do you have? They said, I don't know, maybe 1,000. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, let's start there. So what we did is we built a campaign on how to get the attention of everyone that bought from them previously. So we built out a predictable email campaign and text campaign to get back people's attention with a value added sequence, with an education sequence, along with a promotion of, hey, just so you know, your warranty is up, but we're going to give you we want to come by and just inspect everything and how everything's going to see if anything needs to be adjusted for you. Like a courtesy campaign. We marketed that to everyone on the pre-existing list. And then all the new clients moving forward, after the point of sale, we set up an 11-month maintenance visit because we decided to do a 12-month labor warranty. So we would get back into the home on month 11. So that way, if anything needs to be fixed, we fix it before the labor warranty expires. And then we're going to sell them a new maintenance warranty at $500 value point for every other year moving forward. So there's repeatable income, and we get back into their home and help make sure that we're running the labor warranty. So that's what we built. 9 months of tracking, we got back into 192 homes, and they generated over 6 figures in new revenue with 0 ad spend. So that's 10% gains in new revenue for this company with no ad spend on just one process. That's the lead domino. And that's just in 9 months. You compound that over time. That's a 3x revenue jump. And then we also bought back the owner's time because we simplified it so much, where a lot of automation is happening here, plugging in some other technicians to support. So the owners really didn't have to be involved. So that's one example. I could give you other examples, but I'll stop for just a moment, just so you could see the framework of the Time Rich 6 and potentially how the lead domino concept leads into building predictability in a business and buying back time for the founder.
I love it. You guys, I know everybody. So for everyone who watches, and I make these references, so I refer to those, the lead domino, I refer to them as HLAs. So what are the highest leverage activities that you can implement in your business to get the greatest return? Same principle. You guys, this is when you hear success, it matches, it's in alignment. Also, what you guys are hearing is essentially the architecture and framework that they're working through with humans is identical to the architecture required to build agentic agents. Identical. Start with the end in mind. And you have to create the systemic work backwards into how do you accomplish that. The simplest version, I tried to explain earlier this morning on another webinar was, do you remember the game, I think when you were a kid, did they make you blindfold? Did you ever go through it where you had to blindfold two people and tell them, one person had to stand over there and say, I'm going to give you the instructions to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
I haven't, but tell me more. I want to play this with my kids. Talk to me here.
Okay, so take one of your kids and blindfold them and put everything out that they need to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then have the other kid, they can give one instruction, one set of instructions. They have to write them down and they have to follow that list of instructions beginning to end and watch them put together this cluster of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's the simplest thing, but do that in your business and you'll start to realize where all the breaks can happen. Right. And that's what you're talking about when you're saying we need to build, what's the goal? What's the vision? Where are we trying to get to? We need to work backwards. We need to develop the blueprint. Then we need to build out the if then scenarios, right? That's this exact same if you were automating through agentic networks. And then the final piece is the orchestration, right? Who's going to orchestrate it? The leaders. So it's like building a sequence on N8N without an orchestrator. You get a mess. It's like building a sequence of zaps. You get a mess, right? But the orchestrating, now you have intelligence. You've got, if you have someone that's leading that has the intelligence to be able to guide, prioritize, evaluate, refine, pivot, and so forth, then that blueprint can get tighter and tighter and tighter. And so now next time, instead of 3x, you can get 6, because now you've got something that's measurable that you can tweak and make modifications to. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Don't you wish we all started our business with this? I think that's the challenge, right? You start without systems engineering or process engineering background, and you're just doing a process. You're a subject matter expert or the laborer or whatever it is, but you don't have the engineering and architecture piece to it, then it becomes haphazard. You do most of your business based on gut feeling and natural reaction.
And I want to give one other example, because this was an established business. They already had a brand. They already kind of had a list of clients, whatnot. But I have another friend of mine. Her name is Andrea. I met her through my Tony Robbins community that I was a part of, and we were friends. She was a teacher for 25 years and left teaching because she had like a couple of Airbnbs that her and her husband had. And she's like, you know what? I like staging these. So I'm going to start a home staging company. So she left teaching after 25 years to create a home staging company. And little did she know, there's a lot that goes behind it, right? So she had the furniture, bought this, storage facility, had the furniture. She's in her late 40s. She has really bad, arthritis, like really bad arthritis in her hands. And a couple of them are like her fingers are kind of crinked up and stuff. And she's carrying couches and like physically bringing them in and like doing every part of the business. So she grinded 60, 70, 80-hour weeks her first year. And I witnessed this as my friend, and she pulled together a 6-figure business that she was able to make happen from scratch. But she was doing 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. She's the admin. She's the marketing. She's all word of mouth. She's going to meetup meetings. She's finding clients, doing what she can. And then we were having conversations. So she hired me. She's like, I know you're my friend, but I will pay you. Help me with my business. So we didn't start with a client follow-up. That wasn't the lead domino. So the lead domino for her was getting more help. We needed to get other help to do the things that she was doing that somebody else can do. So we started with, what is her dollar per hour worth? So we did a math. I said, how much money do you want to make in a year? And she said a number. And you might want to do this exercise if you're listening to this too. How much money do you want to take home in a year? It's like, great. And it's like, how many hours a week do you want to work in exchange for that dollar amount? And she's like, $30. I want to work 30 hours a week. I said, great. How many weeks do you want to take off? She said, I want to take 10 weeks off. I said, great. So 10 weeks off is 48 weeks times 30 hours. We did that math, and we took her dollar that she wanted to make of $200,000 divided by whatever that number was, 30 times 48, or 42 rather, 30 times 42. We took that, did the math, and that came up with a number. It was like $250 or $300 an hour. I said, everything that is less than $300 an hour, we need to delegate. We've got to delegate. So carrying couches, how much could we find somewhere? So I went into like Indeed and went to Facebook Marketplace and just showed her, I said, we could find someone to move couches for $15 to $20 an hour. So if you want to be worth 300, you cannot be doing $20 an hour work. I said, if you're responding to emails, I said, let's look at an administrative assistant. And then I showed her offshore administrative assistant. It's like $8 an hour, $10 an hour, $12 an hour. I said, you cannot be touching this stuff. We got to get that offloaded. So we plugged in an offshore team to handle her inbox and handle her social media, handle some of her invoicing. We brought in some more labor workers to, move the couches. And then we started freeing her up. She said, well, what am I supposed to do now? I said, you need to focus on client acquisition. So we put her in front of real estate meetings and investor groups and building up her client portfolio and kissing babies and shaking hands and building brand reputation. Well, I'm really excited to say that she is now, it's 4 years later, a little less than 4 years later. She has 4x'd her revenue. She is working 30 hours a week. She took a full month off. Right now, she is on a 1 month vacation by herself. Her business is running without her. She's in Arizona. She took 2 girl trips. She took a mother-son trip with her son, Chase. She is living the dream, as she would say. And I'm just thrilled that Andrea has been able to do this for her business. In year 4, she has 2 offers for her business to exit and sell the business at 10 times what her teacher salary was. And that is so exciting for someone. That's another example of figuring out what's lead domino, working it backwards, going through the time rich 6. What are your priorities that we got to protect? How do you want people to get your attention? Communication guidelines, founder lifestyle, business predictability, systems, playbooks, team, tech. Let's figure that out. In there, what's the lead domino? The one thing that could 3x your revenue, buy back 10 hours of your time each week, and then reinvest the time into high leverage activities. That's what we want to start with. If we start there, we could simplify this. We could totally simplify this for guys in the trades. It doesn't have to be so complicated. And that's why what I do right now is I have these conversations. That's all I do. Free conversations with as many guys in the trades as possible to just help them. So if anybody wants to take me up on that, betterthanrich.com/GSD. I call it a GSD session. It's get shit done. No pitch, no selling. Just you tell me about your business. I will customize a playbook for you for your lead domino that you could plug into your business right away and help you get some returns as fast as possible, because it's not that complicated, although sometimes we overcomplicate.
I love this on so many levels. I knew they would have that up right there. You guys can see that, betterthanrich.com. I'm probably going to steal your get shit done because I love that. And that's my MO. It's better than free strategy session. Oh my gosh. I need to be more creative. No, I've been called pretentious because I'm like, I'm not going to do my laundry. There's no way I'm going to do my laundry. Like, I have an app for that.
Oh, there's an app to do your laundry, and then someone comes over your house and does it for you?
POPL. I'll send you the link. Yes, they will pick it up. They wash it. They dry clean it. They take care of everything. They fold it. I've got her trained. She knows I like all the colors and the styles by the same thing. There's no way I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Right? No, same thing. Instacart. I mean Instacart for my groceries, and I'm not going to mow my lawn.
The grocery store.
Dusty comes and mows the lawn. Absolutely. It's the same principle. Yes, Jen. Yeah. I keep calling you Jen. I know it says Jennifer.
I love that. Jen's good. That means we're friends.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yes, you got to know your value.
It's true. And it is hard sometimes, I will tell you, because there has been seasons of life where it's almost like feeling guilty for me to say, well, I could just do it myself. Why pay someone else to do it? And I heard Ed Milet once say on his podcast, he said, if you have the money, don't be selfish with your money. By you paying someone else to do it doesn't mean you're lazy. It actually gives somebody else the opportunity, and then it gives you the motivation to go make more money. So if you have a vehicle to make more money and you provide a job to someone else and give you the motivation to do it, and you're buying back your time, it's a good use of dollars. Where my cheap ass would be like, no, I don't want to spend money on this. So my wife is cheaper than me when it comes to stuff like that. So it was a learning curve. And I also want to click on that for just a moment, making sure that this piece of my story is noted. When I graduated college, I had 3 rental properties. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was like 18, 19 years old. From one of my mentors gave it to me. And instead of buying a car, I bought a house. And then my mom passed and I took her life insurance money and bought a second house. And I had 3 rental properties before I graduated college. And I thought I was going to retire at 40. And then 2008 market collapse hits. I lose the rental properties. I'm negative $130,000 in debt, and I have a 400 credit score. And I call it my valley of my 20s. So I grinded doing what my dad taught me how to do for several years to just climb my way out of the debt and just figure out how to work. Like there was decisions like, do I put gas in my car? Do I pay my secretary? Like, I mean, it was really a tough season financially. And that's when I hired that business coach in 2016, because I knew I couldn't stay and grind if I wanted to be a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family. So I hired him. He had an experience in India scaling a company from 6 million to 30 million with 1,400 people underneath him. He showed me how to do a lot of this stuff and corporatize my small business and using these systems. We didn't have like a framework called 10 Rich 6 like we do now, but like that, these are the principles that he taught me. So bringing that full circle, 10 years after being at my lowest point, 10 years later, being an accredited investor and having cash flow work for me and taking the money from the business, put it into to revenue generating assets that can bring in more money. So my business makes me money. My money makes me money, having an 800 credit score now. And like that journey of going from broken when my self-worth is tied to my net worth and it was like nothing, to just like climbing my way out of it. I want to make sure that that is 100% known, because this is why I guest on podcasts. This is why I share my story, because the story a lot of times is my business ran without me when my son was in the NICU, which is a big piece of the story. But the valley of my 20s is what equipped me to handle the season of uncertainty that I went through. And sometimes if we don't go through the tough, sometimes it's tough. You know, we sometimes need to go through the tough in order to become tougher than the tough, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, frick yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's when I was saying we learn two ways: significant emotional event or consistency and repetition. I feel like all of us have that significant emotional event. I had the same, my 20s, transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship. I went straight from senior executive at corporate in my 20s to starting my own companies. I let my ADD get in the way. I did not treat it like a corporation by any means. Same thing. I wound up losing everything. Homeless. My son and I lived in an office with our dog. We showered at 24-hour fitness. Like we all have these stories. Some we had to take some major ass whooping to get to like either shock our system or realize that we need to ask for help or realize that we need to hire a professional, someone that's been there, seen further than we can see right now that can help us get over that. Or be ready for the ass whippings, right? Be ready for the tail whippings. I mean, those are your options. Is at some point you need a guide to get there. And I think that it often in the trades industry, I think that the events, spring and fall events, with kind of old timer or I don't know, how do I say this on a podcast? There are lots of experts that have done something really amazing at some period of time that contractors will often bucket as coaching, because some Yahoo's standing on stage, you know, yapping about their process and something from whatever long ago, and they give one kind of sequence of events, and that's used as that's the solution. I'm going to apply that. And the difference is, right? I try and warn people when I'm on stage. I'm like, look, I'm going to give you some generalizations, but no one should be providing you with a blueprint without sitting down, having a conversation, getting down to the nitty gritty, understanding your financials, understanding your mission vision, understanding the people that you have running your business, understanding your organization, understanding your market. Then you can use a blueprint to be able to get a more predictable outcome. But going to conferences every spring and fall and listening to somebody stand on stage, yapping, myself included, that's not coaching. That's not having an advisor who is architecting with you a plan specific to your business, your market, your people, your vision, your mission, your goals, and everything else. Those are very, very, very different. And so I think that a lot of times that comes with a lot of hard lessons. I think they go to events, they've got a target on their back, you know, everybody's hawking their wares and tears. whoever's the best salesperson or whoever they spent the most time with at the bar or had the best cocktails with or bought a steak dinner or whatever it is becomes the coach. And that's not how this works. That is a great path to learning a lot of hard lessons. I would almost tell everyone, like, pause in the events for just a minute. Sit down, buckle down. I'd rather see you grinding with Mike in a room and getting down into brass tacks and going through the hard work that's necessary in order to create a solution that is going to create results than buying everything under the sun, every tech gadget there is, and implementing processes that might have worked in 1975 that are not relevant right now, quite frankly. I mean, I'm just saying, now I'm venting because I'm actually kind of irritated with the whole process.
Well, I want to, if it's okay, two things.
Yes.
Number one, listeners need to listen to Jen's rant on the new Flat Rate podcast with Daniel
Oh,
Putnam, because that's where I fell in love. I said, "Oh my God, I need to meet this lady." Her passionate rant about how she would start a new business right now and how she would plug AI into a new business, or if she stepped in as CEO today. And it was just dynamite, just off the cuff, no filter, just so beautiful and eloquent and just passionate, but so tactical all at the same time. So that was when I fell in love, and now we're here. And I just want to say, that's the first thing. The second thing is what you just shared is why I'm doing what I'm doing specifically now, which is doing what you said, which is getting someone in the room. And let me just take a step back. When we said we helped 290 to 300 businesses, there's been like this evolution because it was like coaching and masterminds, because that's what everyone was doing, and courses. It was like, watch these videos, do these workbooks, hop on a call, I'll help you. And what I found over like maybe 2 years of doing that, no one wants homework. So it's like I was giving them stuff to do and they were already busy as hell and overwhelmed. So I took a step back when my daughter was born. She was born in December of 2023. I took the 3-month paternity. And that's when I like took a step back and I said, how could we really logically build a business that creates results and outcome that doesn't require like long to-do lists and like overwhelm? And what we landed on is an install event. So we install the systems in the business with the home, with the home service owner there. So they come in, like, for example, this guy, Nick Shriver, he's coming in August with his office manager, and he came in April with his ops manager too. We sit in a room, we spend 25 to 30 hours together, and we just build the system. And then it's just working downhill of maintaining the system. So we build the system, build all the documentation and playbooks, plug in all the automations, and then it's just maintenance. But it's like a 30-hour immersive experience. 25 to 30 hours of immersion is a lot different than 1 hour a week or 1 hour every 2 weeks here and there, piecemealed over the course of a year. So that's what we redesigned. And it's hard. My business partner is a nomad. He's like literally traveling the world. He was in Malaysia and India and Portugal, and now he's in Mexico with his 2 kids and his wife. And like, I like to work from home. I got my 2 little ones. My son, I shared, was born premature, but he was on a ventilator for 2 years. He had his trach for 2 years, a G tube and J tube, stomach feeding. So like, he's recovering, a lot of therapy. He's amazing now. He's 4.5. He's running around like you would never know anything, just like slight like delays with like developmental and like sensory processing and stuff. But like compared to all the other shit we're dealing with, he's amazing. So but to back to the point though, it's like I don't want to spend that much time away from the family, just like I don't want this business owner to spend so much time. But like I'm willing to spend the 25 to 30 hours once and then let our team maintain it. So that way it's built right the first time. So I'm really glad that you clicked on that, because I don't see that many people in the industry doing that yet. I'm not saying we're on like the cutting edge of doing something. We just entered into the trades this year, 2025. Like we've been helping other businesses in other capacity, but like this is how we're doing it. And I'd love to actually get almost like your feedback on it. Is there a blind spot here? Do you think that's a good idea? Like I'm sold on it, but I'm also open to feedback at this season. Because we've been doing it. We've done it now for about 15 or 16 businesses, and we see it's like a home run every time.
Transformational.
But what's your take on that? Is it, are you seeing others do something like this, or?
No, No, most interactions are highly superficial. So we have the same methodology. This is why I love you. We have the same methodology. We refer to it as the war room, um, which we build the playbook, and ours is called a playbook. For this is for marketing. We spend a lot of time, and now we're building. And a digital version of the assessment that leverages AI to assist us in getting to the data faster that's necessary to build a playbook. So that's what we're working on. But same concept, and we're trying to figure out how do we truncate. We need a week with somebody to hand off all the tribal knowledge to go do all the competitor research, market studies, product research, data research. We need all of this time. So we're in the same boat. We believe in trying to truncate instead of launch marketing and then have a slow roll over the next 5 years where you're getting a little bit at a time. We're trying to take, that was our mission that we said a year and a half ago, is we're like, okay, this is how everyone does it, right? It's this slow roll. It takes freaking forever and so forth. So we're like, how do we take digital and say, what would we normally accomplish in 5 years? How would we truncate that into a 5-month win? And that has been very costly, very exhausting, very difficult, and very rewarding, because now we're launching and we're seeing progress in 7 and 11 days, not 7 and 11 months. So what you're doing is 100% necessary. That is war room style, tactical style analysis, building, planning, and development. I don't know if you've ever read the Book of Five Rings. That was probably Matsumoto. Anyway, it's war room style business planning, and that's what you're doing, and that is what's necessary. There's no easy path. Motivational conferences are not going to get it done. That 1 hour a week for however long, not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done if you hand, like you said, overwhelmed entrepreneurs a ton of homework. Like, I could beat my head on the wall telling my clients that they need to respond to every review, or I can shut my mouth, go to work, hire a dev, put them in a room and say, go build a system that's going to auto reply to every single review, get it off their plate. And I have the same belief system, and it's working through it and truncating it to become more efficient. AI is definitely helping with that. Our technology platforms are helping with that. So I say 1,000%, you keep doing exactly what you're doing, because that's technically the only way this is going to work. The rest, it's not. I've heard all the horror stories of every other version of coaching, and no.
I feel like the little boy in me needed that validation. So thank you. I needed the validation a little bit. That was awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you for that, Jen.
I mean, we're dealing with people, and it's already unreliable. I hate to say it, but people are relatively unreliable. It's very difficult for human beings to change. And you're applying the necessary effort in the necessary truncated frame of time and the systems, and the fact that you're getting it done, the execution strategy, that's the deliverable that I don't see anywhere. I see lots of talking. My team will tell you that I'm kind of mean because I call them all bobbleheads. There's lots of talking. There's lots of talking going on everywhere. Everybody is just talking versus getting shit done. Actually get to it. Like, writing the plan is one thing. Executing the plan, handing it to them and saying, you go execute this, just throw it into your already chaotic business, not going to happen. I've had to have come into Jesus meetings with myself on a regular basis, because I've caught myself at different phases of the business being frustrated with clients that I feel like I care more about their business than they do. And that is the wrong. It is, why not take the fact as the fact? It's not that they don't care. It's that they're living in a state of overwhelm, and it's difficult to change in that state and fix that. So if that's just a fact and it's not that they don't care, then I can apply a different logic to it. I've had to go through that myself and continue to do that. You have done this. I would say this to all of our clients, everybody that's listening to this, you guys take a minute and book time with Mike. He's the real deal, and you need a war room moment. Like, whatever comes of it, comes of it. But it doesn't cost anything to get on the GSD and get some shit done out of the gate and let him dive in. I would say this. I would tell anyone that does have this conversation, like, go to the table with an empty glass, be 100% transparent, leave your pride at the table, leave whatever stories you've told yourself that are true but are not true, put them behind you, and just come to the table with Mike and his crew with just 100% transparency. That's what we need. I know it'd be beneficial with you. You're going to get the most out of the
I love it.
conversation.
I agree. Thank you so much, Jen, for giving your audience a chance to like have the show. I mean, listener, you're in the right place. So thanks for having me. I'm excited to flip the script and having you on our podcast in a couple of weeks. Same thing with Chuck, and just honored to be here. And again, like I heard the conversation, and to be able to have the conversation now and just to see where things could unfold, I'm really looking forward to just seeing what happens next and see what the through lines are.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're addressing all the points of the puzzle that we're not able or capable to. We have to stay focused on all the nerd stuff. So I
That's
feel like
true.
the combination of the two is going to create some real magic. Mike, what else would you leave everybody with as we get ready to wrap this up?
I would just say betterthanrich.com/GSD. If you go to the site, it literally says no BS call. No BS, no pitch. You'll fill out a little form with exactly what you feel like your business needs, of what you think that lead domino is. My team will get to work. They'll build out what is called an ATB, an avatar, tone, and brand guide for your business based on your responses. So that way, when we come to the call, I'll plug your avatar, tone, and brand guide into my lead domino strategist AI tool that I trained. I spent about 20 hours training this thing. I put your avatar, tone, and brand guide into that, and it's going to spit out what it thinks your lead domino is that would 3x your business revenue and buy back your time. So I'll show up to the conversation with a lot of that prepped, and then we will have the conversation with you of like, this is what it thinks, how spot on it is it? And then we'll adjust it and use your prompting, use your input, and then it'll spit out, here's your 30-day plan of what you need to execute on in order to see some real great changes. And it's super effective, it's fast, and I would love for you to experience that.
Oh, I am excited. Oh, I now have another conversation I need to have with you. Okay, that's for another day, but I definitely have something that is going to blow your mind, that if you plugged it in at the end of that and utilized that for ongoing decision making, and we built it with your model. Woo-hoo! Just wait for Cortex, everybody. All right, you guys. So, Mike, thank you so much for spending your valuable and precious time with us today. You guys take time to get on that call. It's not just informational. He's going to come to the table with something tactical that you can do right now to change your business, which that is what I love, baby. No bobbleheads over here. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for taking time to visit us, the Catalyst for the Trades. You guys share it with your friends, comment, like, shoot me a message. It doesn't have to be professional. If you want us to cover a specific topic, you know how to reach me. You can reach out on social or directly through the Catalyst. We appreciate all of your time. Mike, thank you again. You guys keep changing business's trajectory. That's exciting.
Thanks.
All right.